I'm trying one more time. We'll see. I was over at Facebook in the room, and Becca was here. So I'm just going to see if anybody comes by. So far, no buffering. So. Hi, Harleen. How are you? It's good to see you. I was on earlier, and the buffering was just like, well, out of control. And so then I went over to, I have that little group on Facebook, and I created a room. I still don't know what I'm doing over there, but Becky all of a sudden appeared. So I talked to Becky for a little bit. And so now I'm just back to gluing. So how have you been? You've been resting a lot. Hi, Deborah. Good to see you. Oh, you slept through all of that? Yeah. Well, rest is good. Janet, see, I am a determined woman. Yes, I am. Never say die, right? I was hanging in there. And then well, you saw I went over to that little Facebook group where you can go live. And yes, that's what I was thinking. Marlene needed the rest. And that's good. So I'm just gluing in this is the, I guess, what was it, Glue Book January thingy. I took a magazine kind of like what Shelley did and what Mary did and folded it in half. And that's kind of neat because, what's nice about it is the pages aren't too big. However, if you want to do a double page spread, you can. So you have that option of doing a smaller page or a bigger page, which I kind of like that option. And but I was going to do the travel thing, so I will switch over to the travel thing. Give me a second to get rid of that. Let's see. Yeah, I know. I have I do. And I have tea. This is my Irish breakfast tea. I actually went out, Janet, and hi, Kimberly. Hi again. Yes. I bought a teapot. I'm so excited. I have a little red teapot, and I got an infuser, and I bought loose tea. I just feel very British, I have to tell you, Janet. And I have been making my tea in the morning with fresh tea leaves. I don't know how to read them yet. Ha ha ha. But I bought a big bag of Irish breakfast tea. And so I've been having that every morning for breakfast and enjoying it thoroughly. So I feel very relaxed. I don't know. I take my mug of tea because this ceramic mug I have is that Polish pottery, which is gorgeous. Yeah, I managed to skip around and get back, and I did the Facebook create a room for a while, and I saw Becky. I'm knitting a cozy at the moment. Oh, you're knitting a tea cozy at the moment. Ah, yes. I had one of those once upon a time when I was married. I remember the teapot like it was yesterday. It was like a turquoisey blue, and we had a tea cozy for it. This is when we lived on Staten Island. And that's a long time ago. We lived on Staten Island under the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. You can see the bridge from the upstairs bedroom. So we kind of lived in that area. It was called South Beach. And the street was 40 McLaughlin Street. I remember it well. I think I've told you stories about 40 McLaughlin Street. So, all right, I'm going to put that aside. And Verrazano Bridge, yes. And you could see it. But the beach was so polluted that when you walked on it, hi, Debbie, in your bare feet, you'd have tar. Literally, there would be tar on your feet because the sand was so permeated by the tar. You couldn't see it on the beach. You couldn't see it in the sand, but if you walked on the sand barefoot, you'd have tar. Got our first best friend there. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, we lived on Staten Island for a couple of years. I think I remember saying to my ex that I was not going to have any children on Staten Island. So if he wanted a family, we were not going to live on Staten Island. So that's when we moved to the farm. So we went from Staten Island to the farm outside of Gettysburg. So I've lived in the city, I've lived in suburbia, I've lived in rural, and I've lived in small town. Yes. Well, nothing against Jersey. However, there are certain fragrance that waft it through the car when you're driving down the Jersey Turnpike. But Staten Island does have I think it's considered the world's largest landfill for garbage. Great Kills garbage area, I do believe. Do you know? I think that's the name of it, right? But where my ex's parents lived, they lived. No, I know you don't. I know you don't. I know you don't live anywhere near that area. I know you don't. You're out in the country. I grow my tea except for. Oh, you grow tea? No. Yes. And when that's the landfill, it's massive. I mean, it's got its own ecosystem. I mean, it's huge. It's like a mountain. And there's obviously seagulls and everything. Yeah, it's I felt the same way. I'm just gonna show how far I've gotten in the Janet scavenger hunt. I don't know how many of you are working on it, but I'm having sometimes mint tea. Yes. Yeah. I've grown mint. Yeah. That's really nice. Spearmint, mint, very calming. Yeah. I have like a massive, I think it's rosemary. I guess you couldn't make tea out of rosemary. That would be probably a little vile. This is my circles page, right? And Post-its. So I took the Post-its and I punched out circles. So I got 2 for 1 for mint tea. Yeah, that's very soothing. And let's see. This will be the calendar. This is the lace page. I didn't have a feather, so I made paper feathers. And then this is the pocket. So this is a 2 for 2, feathers and a pocket. So I'm trying to do and this is my all-time favorite wrapping paper. And this is the ink, blow ink with a straw. This is a gift from a fib. This was from Johnny. And this piece back here is from Janet. So this is from Janet. 2 pieces here. This was foil. I did some foil printing. And I made this, if you this is Freedom Tower here. And if you were to put ink on this, you can make a print out of it. And then these are stickers. So I did aluminum foil and stickers together. These are from Edward Gorey. So these are his stickers. So I did that. And then this is the black and white, which is kind of black and white. Matchbooks. I actually went online and I copied these. Oh yeah, I'll have to show you. I will do that on a stream. I will show you. So I actually made little fake matches to go in my little, I found these online, and then I had this old magazine that had cigarette ads. So I put those on the cigarettes. So this is the matchbook thing. An envelope. That's not very exciting. Here's my swatch girl. And my swatches, these are the Arteza iridescent acrylic colors. So I swatched her out. So I made her little swatch girl. So she came out pretty good. This was the alphabet and stencil. So I did an alphabet stencil. And I, shifted the colors so you get that kind of like 2D look. Oh, you can't type on your iPad anymore? Huh. Money. This is not very inspired. This is my map. I don't know. Can you see that? I don't know how well I can focus. But this is literally a map of the community that I live in. Not really to scale, but it's fun. Technically, I would live like right here. Technically, but money, flowers, chain. I was going to do something with that, but I thought that chain was kind of cool. Fabric, and this is from Janet Nash. She sent me some. So it was, and you needed a safety pin. So I got this safety pin in fabric. And this came from Janet. Again, not very inspired, but buttons and crossword puzzle. When you do these, sometimes you're more inspired than other times. These were tickets, and this is what I did. These are Timmy. Hi, Janice. Hi, Kathy. Yes, it's great to see you. And I hope your sinuses are finally kind of giving you some relief, because, man, you sounded so miserable. I felt so bad for you. I hope that every day it gets better. I can't imagine. These are Timmy tickets. And on the Timmy tickets, it had the names of theaters. So I actually Googled the name of the theater. And so this is Elston Theater, and this is a picture of the original Elston Theater, so in the Colonial. And so I kind of matched those tickets to pictures of the theaters. Uninspired butterflies. And then you had to have something transparent. So I took one of those, transparent bags, and I put this is my attempt at my Zentangle. I'm not real good at Zentangling, but that was my attempt at it. And then this is Pop Tops. And I was assuming that the Pop Tops were from cans. And I just made this little guy and put him on the background of this is an embossing folder. And again, in this transparent thing. So I got 3 things out of this one. Nature. And you're supposed to look up a word. And that was the word galligaskin. It's a baggy trousers worn by sailors. And that's my kind of sad drawing of a sailor with baggy pants. And then it was your favorite childhood toy. And this is Teddy. Teddy is a Steiff teddy bear. Steiff are made in Germany, and they come in all sizes. And my friend and I had the littlest of the teddies. Well, Here he is. You can see how little he is. And this is what we played with. And we carried, and we had a suitcase. We each had an old beat up suitcase. And inside the suitcase, we literally made everything for them. We made little beds for them, and we partitioned, the suitcase into rooms and kitchens, and we would spend the night at one another's house, and we would pack literally and have a paper bag with our clothes in, and we have this suitcase, and that was the most important thing, because inside the suitcase was Teddy. And okay, all right, yeah. I mean, this little Teddy, when we got the Teddy, the first thing we did was we yanked out the earring. There was a little stud here in his ear that had the little yellow tag indicating that he was the real deal. He is the real deal, but I don't have proof of it. But you can see where he had the little stud. And I think they make, this is the smallest one. And then if I know at FOA Schwartz in New York City, they used to have all of them. And I think the biggest one is probably stands 3 feet high. Now there's the next size up, and we had him also. He was the big brother. But anyway, so this was my favorite toy as a kid. So that's Teddy, and I kind of doing that. Then we had to do a quote. So my quote is, why not go out on a limb? That's where all the fruit is. So I kind of collage that and stamp that. And you lost your tag too? Yeah. I think as a kid, you just, the tag's not important, because when you're playing with it, I don't care whether he's authentic or not, So now, favorite cartoon character is Charlie Brown, except I didn't get the flesh color of Charlie Brown correct. He's a little bit, he's been in the sun too much. But other than that, I don't think he came out too bad. I don't really, I'm just struggling with drawing, but that's my Charlie Brown. And actually, when you look on this, it doesn't look that bad, but in person, he looks like he was sitting in the sun a wee bit too long. And then packaging. So this was packaging. I have my little Thomas's English muffin and some frozen spinach and such. And fib friend, right? Miss Lena. This is my fib friend, is from Miss Lena. And so this is her picture that's on her Facebook page, and I printed it out. And so I have Miss Links, and I have Lena is an incredible artist and storyteller. I will never look at H.C. Andersen again the same way after Lena had some very interesting facts about H.C. So again, I thanked her for being an awesome person and a very, very funny people. So I don't know whether I know some of you were there when Lena did the whole thing about Hans Christian Andersen, and oh my gosh. And then stamps. These are my homemade stamps on a stamp page. I bought a sewing machine, and I am, did you pick Lena too? Yeah, she's so much fun. And she was so honored when I told her that I had done this. She was just so honored. And I said, well, thank you. I enjoyed doing that. And I did some stitching. I bought a cheap sewing machine. I know someone else was talking about a sewing machine. They just wanted a sewing machine to sew paper. I can't remember whether that was one of you guys. Oh, okay. Thank you, Arlene. You take care of yourself, okay? Thanks for stopping by. I so appreciate it. And thanks for reaching out to me the other day. That was so sweet of you. It meant so much to me. So I bought a sewing machine to sew paper too. And Shelly from Crafting Mama said, that's really hard to do. And, and I have jammed it a lot, but I managed. And I don't have, this is the only candy bar thing I have, so that's not really inspired. Anyway, pink. Pink is pink, right? So, and a generic card. Now, I can't take credit for this. Popo is the one that gave me the idea for the ransom note. Okay, we were talking about it. Popo and I did one of those Facebook Live create rooms. We were together, and she said something about Mary's candle. All right, so this is my ransom note. It's hard for you to read, but it says, Mary, I have your candle back when you show me your fire extinguisher. So that's my ransom note, and I have to give Susan or Popo credit for that, because she's the one that, we were kidding around. She said, why don't you hold Mary's candle ransom? So this is my ransom note, and I'm holding Mary's candle ransom. I think this was junk mail that came, napkin, text. I've got some, I have a whole bunch of Chinese textbooks. If anybody needs any Chinese text, I've got tons of books. When I taught at Holy Trinity, they had Chinese exchange students, so I have a lot of their textbooks. Playing cards, not too inspired. Obviously, I'll get to this really. Washi tape. Toilet paper. This is my, I did ink on toilet paper. Tea stain. Lipstick. Photo and jelly print. This was a jelly print. This is actually a picture of my aunt, Margaret, and her son. And this was a coloring book, sewing, and favorite supply or new supply. I've been using the Quickie. I've been using the Kiwi shoe polish, and it's great. You can stain wood with it. You can make awesome aged Scotch tape with it. It's really so cool. So that's my newfound art supply. That's a non-art supply. I think that was the prompt, a non-art supply. And so I'm using the Kiwi shoe polish, which I highly recommend. It's awesome. Like here's some of the Scotch tape that I made with it. See? It's good stuff. And orange, you're glad I'm almost done. Squares, not too inspired. Insert a bag, and then a tip in. So I've got, yeah. And that's as far as I've gotten. So I have no idea how I'm going to bind this, because I had made a junk journal and then I couldn't manage the junk pages. So now I have all these loose pages, and I'm going to have to figure out some way to bind them. Thinking possibly a Coptic stitch, but you can see how fat it is already. And so that's the challenge. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I figured I had gutted one of these, kind of a moleskin knockoff. So I don't know. And here's my zine. Okay, thanks. I appreciate that, Janet. Yeah. So we'll figure that out. I don't want to stay on. Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to go back to what I initially advertised. I was just going to harvest travel stuff. So I'm getting there with the, as you can see, my list. I am working on it. There's some I'm having. Dryer lint. Do you know you can make paper from dryer lint? I found that out. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make paper from my dryer lint. I think I have all of the ingredients. You just need a frame and then some screen or some mesh, and then you can kind of make paper out of it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to make paper out of my dryer lint. And I have veggie stickers, miniature greeting cards. You want to, these are, I will show you my miniature greeting cards. They are, let's see if I, all right. Okay, so here are my miniature, they are, those are my miniature greeting cards. And then they have like, well, this one says hope. I don't know if you can even see them. They're so tiny. I'm not even gonna, but, and then inside I have written hang in there. So these are my itsy bitsy teeny weeny polka dot bikini, no, greeting cards. And then there's another prompt that Janet has that's miniature. So I'm thinking whether I could make miniature envelopes for the miniature greeting cards, and that would maybe count as the miniature. So I'm afraid I'm going to lose these. I should give them to Teddy. Teddy could send them to his friends. Okay. Travel. So this is my exclusive travel only. Now I got this magazine. You know, I got one of those promos where it's like $10. So how could, you know, for a year for $10? So I have a lot of those. And when they run out, then it's done, right? It's done. I've got Vogue for $10. So the only thing is you got to be careful of is you don't want to get that online, because then they automatically renew that. And then you go, what? And so I always write a check so I don't have my credit card number, because they can be pretty slippery that way. So that's my advice. And I also get travel brochures. Somebody else was in here earlier that said they had a whole bunch of, is it Janice? Or the other Janet said that she had a lot of travel brochures. I get them all the time. And, you know, I feel bad because I'm never going to go on one of these cruises. I'm never going to have the money. But when I get them, they are absolutely, I mean, stunning. I mean, look at this. And I bet you I get one a week. Now, the pictures are unbelievable. But usually it's just the front picture and then maybe some on the inside. Am I buffering? Are we in here? Because I don't see any activity in chat, so I'm just curious if we're still going. If we're not, that's okay. Can anybody say something, like something, say hi? Hi. Are we dead? I don't see any buffering here, but that doesn't mean anything because I had all sorts of problems earlier. So. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. All right. That's fine. Okay. So travel magazines. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That's okay. I just got a little nervous because we had so much trouble earlier today. It was just ridiculous. So obviously this is a picture that I would save. So I'm going to rip that out. And Bohemian Crafter, making back window on envelope. I'll have to check that out. If you don't know Ava, she is unbelievable. See now, look, you got this, and you got this. I hate that when they do that. Very rarely do they do that. Well, I'll have to think about that one. So then the rest of the magazine, occasionally I'll cut out the people. There's Louis, Jacques Pepin. And now I know, Kathy, you've done a lot of traveling. Kathy Berg has done an enormous amount of traveling. How many years? I know you're multitasking. Kathy, how many years did you live in Europe? You must have been there for quite a while and traveled a lot. Ooh, Tim's Fabric. Oh, hi, Eileen. Nice to see you. See, that's all right. I'll take that. We were talking about what is that? Eileen, you said you had done it. It said 3D stitching where you put stuffing behind the stuff. It has a name. 3 in Switzerland. Oh, now were you in Bern? Is that what you? Were you in Bern, Switzerland, or you visited Bern, or you in Zurich or Geneva? Because I know you mentioned Bern. Oh, Geneva. Okay, all right. It's a beautiful place. I think I read somewhere, unless they've changed it, I think somewhere I read that it takes 30 years to become a Swiss citizen. At least it did back when I was traveling. I've only been to Zurich. I've never been anywhere else. Okay, you got a Lassie Junior already. You better go check it out. We had a stump work. Okay, that's it. Stump work. Okay, thank you, Eileen. Thank you. Stump work. It's an odd name, but they were using pieces of wood, right? So maybe stump work. All right. Kathy, did Cass have that? Cass had the book? Yeah, okay. Oh, a lot of money. Money talks. That's interesting. That's interesting. Well, I spent the night in the Zurich airport, so that was it. I was on my way back to Mallorca. So, but London, okay, 2 years. Now, did you live in the city, Kathy, or in London? Or hi, Gail. I know Janet, right? Lives in Croton, right? Is it Croton? Croton, Janet, I think. And you're not that far. Now, when you took us for that walk, I have a Janet. When you took us for that walk the other day, was that Croton, or did you go into London? Because I don't. Hi, Teresa. Oh, by Windsor Castle. Okay, all righty. Oh, sorry, you did say you showed the area where you used to walk your dogs, right? That's so awesome. That's an incredible experience. Yeah, I've been to London. Oh, Croyd. Okay, Croyd. Okay, all right. South London. Okay. Because the artwork you showed on their little walk was really cool. You know, that artwork that you showed, where you had that like 3D sculpture of the guy coming out of the brick wall. Yeah. Yeah, that's just such a living. Yeah, when you're living as a living instead of being a tourist, it's just such a totally different experience. It's just I can't imagine. I mean, again, I lived on the island of Mallorca for a year, but Mallorca is beautiful, and but it was very tiny, and it was a beautiful experience, and met all sorts of phenomenal people, because people came through Mallorca from all different walks of life, and there were a lot of very artistic people that were there, and so I met a whole bunch of interesting people. Um, but yeah, absolutely. Yep. I mean, the day in and day out, going, shopping. Uh, yes, it was. And of course, this was a long time ago. I have to say, I'm talking a long. Franco was still in charge. He was still the dictator in Spain when I was in Spain, and his civil guard, the Guardia Civil, were still tooting around. These guys had tri-point hats, machine guns on their backs, and they drove around in Vespas. A Vespa is a little scooter, and people were absolutely terrified of his Guardia Civil. Okay, all right. Now, Geneva, would that be considered more of the financial area of Switzerland? I mean, I know Switzerland is known for finance, but correct me if I'm wrong, is Geneva like the hub of the finances in Switzerland versus like Zurich? I'm assuming you probably did some skiing. That's kind of a pretty picture. Kind of like statues. All righty. See, I like this too. This. Oh, I think I was in the middle of that, talking about that one statue that came out of the wall. Oh, that 3D sculpture. They have something like that, very similar to that in Nova Scotia, in Halifax. I went to Nova Scotia. Oh, wow. Play dates just an hour away. Oh, that's amazing. Now, I know this is, well, I don't think this is silly. Did it become, I don't want to say mundane, but it became just part of the normal? So after a while, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm skiing in the Alps. Did it ever normalize it? Did the experience ever normalize it? Does that make any sense? Become normal? You know what I think you know what I mean, because sometimes people, oh wow, Girl Scout Guide Center, how cool is that? Because I know sometimes when you live in an area, you become accustomed to it, and it's like, it loses its wow factor until you kind of think about it, and then the wow factor comes back. But I was wondering whether, if he was only an hour away, you probably did it all frequently. It's not like, my boys were, part of ski club at school, but they didn't, it wasn't, oh, that's pretty. I like that. I always told my students that if you ever have the opportunity to travel, okay, fit him in there. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's the thing to do. Uh-huh. Wow. Kathy, would you say Switzerland? Wow, that's a hard question. Now, Girl Guides be like Girl Scouts? Anita. Hola. But I haven't seen that much of the United States, so I feel that that's lacking. I mean, my father was in the Navy, and they moved a lot when he was in the Navy, but all of that happened more laid back, and then we lived there. Everything shut down Saturday at 4 and opened up again Monday morning. And so you had time to do stuff. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Well, when I lived in Spain, they had it. Well, they had a siesta, and I mean, I was there going to college, and there were no classes between 1 and 4, so we had a siesta. So Ben and friends say. So everything shuts down, and you just. Who's got a snow day? Juanita? Do you have another snow day, Jersey? So I like that. I'm going to take this, and you can see it's very tiny, but I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking that could be a little postage stamp. Yeah. I've only flown over the Alps. And I've flown over the Rockies when I fly into Salt Lake City to visit my son. The Rockies, you're right, they're kind of smoother. That's true. That's why people in Europe can speak multiple languages, because I can drive from Florida to Georgia, or drive from Georgia to Florida, and then, or you can drive from France to Germany and change languages. Hello, lovely Maria. How are you? I'm harvesting travel brochures, and we're talking about travel. See, that doesn't. Oh, there you go, Janet. This one's for you. Every time I see this bird, there you go. That one's for you. Did you ever finish your toucan? You inspired me to do my cat. Yep. Yeah. Right, Kathy. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, my friend, we were in Zurich. We were literally spending the night in the airport, and we're flying out the next morning to go back to Palma and Dea on Mallorca. And we were sitting in the bar area, of course. And there was a young woman about the same age that we were, and she was alone. So we asked her if she'd like to join us. Oh, you got, okay, you have one on. And so she came over and sat with us. And we were talking, and she spoke beautiful English, absolutely beautiful English. And we were asking where she was from, and she was from Rotterdam. So obviously she spoke Dutch. And while we were sitting there, an Air France pilot came up and joined us. And she immediately turned to him and started talking to him in fluent French. And of course, Janet, my friend, Janet and I just, looked at one another like gobsmacked, feeling like such dolts because we could barely speak English. And let alone, we could speak English, but you know what I mean. But not, turn around and converse in French and then translate in English to what the pilot had asked her. It was amazing. He was hitting on her. He wanted her to go to a party. And she said she was waiting for her boyfriend who was getting off work momentarily. But it was just amazing. Oh, dear. Flushing that. No, that's those are important things. When I lived in Spain, I wanted to know how to order a beer and where the bathroom was. Those were the important things to take care of. It's funny. Okay, you guys take care. Take care. I hope Romeo's, that's right, this would be the second semester, wouldn't it? Oh my gosh, half the school year is done already. Gosh, the time flies, especially when you're not teaching. I hope it's going well. Now, Kathy Arbor's on it. Was Cass on it 1? She's going to continue the watercolor lessons. Does anybody know? Isn't that neat? That's kind of a neat. Okay, good. All right. I followed Kathy what day? 2 days ago she did that. And this is my attempt at going back and forth. So I need a little, and then I just went, these are koi watercolors. So I'm looking forward to continuing. I did see a video, Malia, of different stitches. I'm sure there's many of them, but I saw one also, and it was really kind of cool because she did, pretty much all of this. She did the French knot and the satin stitch and a whole bunch of stitches. I used to do crewel work, CREWEL, crewel work. Not good at it. And then I got rid of everything. And now I wish I hadn't, because now all of that stuff would be handy. You know what I was going to try to do? And I tried it a little bit yesterday, but I need a sharper needle. I was wondering whether you couldn't draw a very simple, think about this, just draw a very, very simple Zentangle, a very basic Zentangle, and then try to stitch that. So you'd have a white piece of paper, and then you would stitch the Zentangle with black thread. I thought that might be interesting be fun to do, or try to do. I did try a little bit of it yesterday, but my needle was not sharp enough to poke through I was using watercolor paper, so I really wasn't happy with the result. But I think I might try that again, just to see. Never get rid of anything. Yeah, you're right. And I was talking to Becky earlier about when you find yourself moving. At least for me, when I get into the moving mode, I get into a throwing away mindset, and I have no problem just to toss stuff. Like I'll just start tossing stuff, and and I'm thinking, you know, I haven't used this in 6 months. I'm never going to use it again, and just toss it. And now I have a different mindset about those things. I'm embarrassed to tell you that my grandmother had a little Notion thing. It was like a little tiny footstool. It had like a cushion on the top with little tacks. My grandfather was an upholsterer, and inside this little footstool were all of her sewing notions. I threw that all out. I can't believe I did that. Anyway, I did. And it had just all those little bits and pieces, you know, the things that you acquire when you're doing, you know, sewing repairs, like the little, you know, like the little clasps that are on the back of a bra, or a broken zipper, all of these neat little bits and bobs and everything. I just tossed the whole thing. And yeah, I know, Barb. And I was just thinking about it. And thinking, oh my gosh, you know, and this was years of collecting stuff over all of her years of, you know, little bits and pieces of, you know, things that she had repaired, and just threw in this little tiny footstool thing that my grandfather had upholstered for her. Oh well. That's just the way it is, right? So I screwed up. Anyway, it's what's done is done. Now look what we have. We have some Lammies. Wellington. How cool is that? New Zealand. I had happened to be in Ireland during lambing season. Oh my gosh. Driving across the Irish countryside, and all you see are all these little baby lambs just bouncing all over the countryside. They are the, you know, as people would say, stinking cute. They were just all over the place, just bouncing. Bouncing, bouncing, bouncing. All right. Major price reduction. Let's see. Well, some of these are, you know, let's see. You want to go 15-day North Atlantic passage, New York, St. George, Amsterdam, Paris. Let's see. If you want to go in the owner suite, only $16,000. I went on a cruise once. It was okay. It was one of those Caribbean things, you know. I would like to go on one of those river cruises that they always advertise on Masterpiece there, the river cruise down the Rhine. I think that would be cool. I get rid of lots of art supplies. Oh, to defy. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, because you know it's going to be, you know, people are going to appreciate it, and it's going to be used. Yeah. I could do that easily. But we all buy stuff as we see a project, we buy it, and that adds to the stash. And then there's another project, and you don't have, you know, there's always something I don't have that a glaze or crackle paint or things like that. And so you buy it, and then you add it to your collection. That's how it kind of grows. I have to say that this particular brochure has more larger pictures than normal. But if anybody's interested, I would just write them a letter. or send them an email and say you're interested in their brochures. And the next thing, you too can be receiving these beautiful brochures. And actually, the paper of these, the brochure itself, you could basically turn into a journal. Let's see. Yes, it would be dinner time. I hope you're having something nice and hot and cozy and warm. So thank you. Thank you, Janet. Thank you for hanging in there and waiting for me to. It was a rocky journey getting here today. The internet was not being kind, but have a good evening. So goodbye. We are cave people, hunters and gatherers of art supplies. Yes, we are. Yes, 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 yes. And tools. If you're into making things, I used to do some woodworking, and every time I had some sort of thing I was going to build, I always needed something. I made my son a Lego table. It was a special table. It was just for him, and it was low to the ground, and it was just for his Legos. I needed a router. So I went out and bought a router. I only used that router once to make the legs for that table, but I had a router. Something else I made. My father bought me a radial arm saw for my birthday. And I put that all together by myself. I got down to adjusting the blade, and I couldn't get the bolt off to adjust the blade. And then so I had to call someone in to help me adjust the blade. So then I had a radial arm saw. You know, as I built stuff. What I like to make, I made a lot of Adirondacks chairs. So thank you, Janet. Have a wonderful evening. So I made Adirondacks chairs and things like that. It was fun. So now I am making cardboard furniture, paper mache. Well, listen, folks, I'm going to sign off so we can all get ready and have a bite to eat before we head over to Cass's. And I'm going to warm up my watercolor brushes and get some fresh water. And so thank you so much for stopping in. I appreciate it. I don't do this often, and I never know when to pop in. So this worked out to be a good place to pop in. And again, I'll see you out on the internets, and be well, be safe, and see you later. Thank you again so much for being here. It's so much fun to see you all and chat. Bye.